After years of development and a few false starts, the OH-58 Delta Kiowa Warrior from Polychop Studios for DCS World is finally close to release. Originally conceived as a reconnaissance and targeting platform, the OH-58 Delta was fitted with weapons in the late 80s as a light attack aircraft for low-intensity combat operations in the Middle East. Armed with a combination of 50 caliber machine guns, folding fin aerial rockets, air-to-air Stinger missiles, and the AGM-114 laser-guided Hellfire, the Kiowa Warrior became a compact and lethal warfighter, capable of operating in daylight as well as complete darkness. The Kiowa Warrior, or KW, soon took on the role as the U.S. Army's premier armed scout platform, saw deployment to Kosovo and into the Middle East after the September 11th attacks, where it became a roving gun, patrolling the skies and assisting ground forces in contact with the enemy. Additionally, the KW saw extensive use and support to Special Operations Forces in targeting high-value individuals and protecting VIP personnel, such as flag officers and international dignitaries. Its small size and maneuverability enabled the Kiowa to operate in places where other aircraft simply could not. The Kiowa was at home equally in the open desert as it was in the urban sprawl of cities and towns. Low-hanging power lines, TV antennas, and yes, even oncoming traffic were all common hazards for a Kiowa pilot. And while its onboard munitions were of value to the warfighter on the ground, in some cases Kiowa pilots were forced to use their own personal weapons to suppress and engage the enemy. The Kiowa is fitted with a mass-mounted sight, or MMS, housing a daylight television, thermal imaging system, and a laser rangefinder designator. This enables the KW to acquire, identify, and target enemy vehicles for precision-guided attacks, either from its own onboard munitions or from supporting platforms such as the AH-64 or an assortment of fixed-wing aircraft. In its final years of service, the Kiowa was also fitted with the MUMS, or Manned-Unmanned System. MUMS allowed for the control of unmanned aerial aircraft, enhancing the aircrew's capacity to provide battlefield surveillance and target acquisition. The Kiowa Warrior was also designated to operate the APKWS, or Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System. A laser guidance kit attached to a standard Hydra rocket enabled precision guidance and measured lethality. The Kiowa Warrior was retired from service in 2015 by the US Army, but still operates internationally in Greece, Tunisia, and Taiwan. And of course, the Kiowa Warrior will continue to live forever in the hearts of those who flew and fought in this incredible machine. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Let's just get into it. We're going to talk about the OH-58 Delta Kiowa Warrior from Polychop here finally for DCS World. We're looking at about 2 weeks as I record this video, and I'm just going to give you some thoughts and impressions about this module, talk a little bit about what you can prepare for to use it within DCS World, and just kind of share my thoughts as a former Kiowa pilot. For those of you who are new to the channel, I flew Kiowa Warriors in the US Army for about 10 years. I got about 2,000 hours flying them. I deployed twice as a Kiowa Warrior pilot, and I've been off and on working with Polychop in the sense that I'll take a look at the module, give some feedback, things like that. I'm not a paid endorser for the module. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like that. I just want to be upfront with that because I know some people get a little bit irritated when they think when content creators have access to stuff. I'm just a concerned citizen, if you will, and a former Kiowa pilot, and I want to talk to you about this module and talk to you a little bit about what I think about it after having played with it for some time now. So I do want to start this off by saying I, for quite a while, was a skeptic. It had a rough start. There were some issues with it early on that I sometimes thought, you know what, this may just not go anywhere. Jokes were made about it being vaporware. I was unsure about what was going to happen, and it has been in development for a really long time. So when I got message from Polychop saying that they were getting ready for release and they wanted me to take a look at it, I was surprised, I'll be honest with you, and took a look at it with a pretty critical eye, and I have to tell you with 100% honesty, I'm really impressed with this module. They have taken it leaps and bounds from where it was a couple of years ago and brought it into a place where I can say arguably it is one of, if not the best flight models for helicopters in DCS. Now, is it perfect? No, there's no such thing as a perfect helicopter in any flight simulation I've ever played. Even the stuff we used in the Army to actually train on was not perfect, but it is pretty darn close, and they've done a fantastic job with the systems. Now, if you know anything about the Kiowa Warrior, you understand that it is a scout aircraft. It is, the joke is too light to fight, too slow to run. You're not going to be carrying a lot of ammunition. The technology that you have is old, it's outdated, it's 80s tech at best in some cases. So you just need to understand that you're not going to go out into the DCS World environment and just win the war. That is not what this aircraft is for. What this aircraft for is finding targets, passing that information on. Now, it does not have a data link I know that's going to disappoint some people, but you know what? Somehow we managed to go without data link when I was flying them. You just use the radio, some common sense, some common language, and you can pass that information on just as effectively. I think one of the concerns that I've had with the Kiowa Warrior, beyond what we just talked about in, people maybe using it wrong or expecting it to do things that it cannot do, is how do you operate this aircraft, which is a two-person aircraft? How do you operate it effectively in the DCS World environment? And Polychop has come up with what I think is probably one of the best AI co-pilots that I've seen in DCS World. It's what I continue to call seamless. It's a seamless transition from flying to handing the aircraft over to the AI. Its ability to take over from you and your ability to take back over from it is unmatched from what I've seen in other modules. They've created a fantastic interface that you can pull up. You can see what the AI is thinking, what the AI is trying to do. You can use that to manage the AI, or you can just bring it up sparingly whenever you want to check on something, put it back down to, not ruin your immersion. But it's a tremendous addition, and it really gives you the capability to operate this aircraft as a single player, which I know most of you watching this are probably almost all exclusive to single player environments. You can very easily fly and fight this aircraft as a single player. In fact, if you watched my first mission video that I posted today as I'm recording this, everything that I did in that was a single player. My wingman Sven, who is the CEO of Polychop, was also a single player in his cockpit. We both just jumped back and forth from the left and right seat and employed that AI system to maintain control of the aircraft for us. What I really love about the flight model is its organic feel. It does not feel like it's overly stable. It does feel like you have to make minute controls to the aircraft. Now it does have SCAS, stability control augmentation, so it does have the ability to dampen out unwanted motion in the control surfaces and gives you a more stable platform, but you still feel like you're flying it versus managing it. And I think that for people who really enjoy that sort of helicopter feel, you're going to have that here. The Kiowa is a very small aircraft, right? So max gross weight is 5,200 pounds, but it still feels like it has some weight to it. You still have to anticipate some movement. You have to anticipate your deceleration. You're slowing down. You've got to manage your torque. You got to manage your temperatures. It's a total package when it comes to an actual helicopter feel, and I really enjoy that about that. Again, that's probably one of the biggest takeaways for me. One of the things that immediately gripped me was I feel like I'm flying a helicopter versus I feel like I'm just moving something around on a computer screen. Now, the Kiowa was not known for carrying a variety of armament. There's basically 4 types of weapon systems you're going to have: the 50 caliber, the rockets, the Hellfire, and the Stinger air-to-air missile. That is something that's new to me. We did not have Stingers on Kiowas when I flew them. I know that that'll be a very welcome addition to DCS World because of the environments that we find ourselves playing when we go onto multiplayer servers and whatnot. So having that capability is there. It's very simple to use. It's actually kind of a lot of fun. I've never had any experience with it, so I've been out playing with that. But shooting the 50 cal and the rockets, now unfortunately in the DCS World, those are very low on the ability to affect things table. Shooting something with 50 cal and shooting something with these rockets that we have. However, they're just so much fun to shoot, and I go out there sometimes for just an hour and I just shoot the 50 cal and shoot the rockets. I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. And of course the Hellfire, a very capable system, and I have yet to have a problem with it as I've gone through testing and in doing both multi-crew and multiplayer environments. Now, this Kiowa is a later version than what I flew. By the time they had some of these additions, I was already sitting on a desk or getting ready to transition over to Apaches. It does have flares. It does have a common missile warning system, and it does have the old APR 39, which is just an absolute joy to hear yell at you in its weird robotic voice. So it does have some survivability. It does have the airbags, which will deploy, though they've ratcheted up the G's that need to happen for that airbag to deploy, because it would be, probably happening quite a bit. Things that you still have to look out for, the ground stickiness, if you will, the ground friction in DCS World will cause you sometimes to flip over when you probably shouldn't have. So you're gonna have to fly it a little bit more gingerly when you pick it up and land it. But that's not really a Polychop issue. It's just kind of a DCS issue. I know that's on that list of things to fix within DCS World. Hopefully they do, because it does affect helicopters, particularly helicopters like this with skids. You are going to become very adept at hovering. You're going to spend a lot of time hovering in this aircraft. It's kind of what it does. But I think you're just going to find that it is an absolute joy to fly. And I'm really excited to see you guys get into it. You know, as a Kiowa pilot in real life, we were not famous. People didn't know what the Kiowa was. You tell somebody what you flew, they would immediately ask what, and you'd have to describe it to them, and then maybe they'd seen a picture of one somewhere. So it's fascinating to me to see how many people in the DCS world environment not only know about the Kiowa, but are excited for it and looking forward to its arrival. And if you're one of those people, I really hope that it's been worth the wait. I'm just going to say it again. I was sometimes critical of this module, thinking that it was just not really going to go anywhere. I'm definitely having to eat crow on this one because I think it's a solid module. I'm really looking forward to its arrival and to see what you guys think about this module. I do want to say a big thank you to Polychop, not only for making this module, but including me in it throughout the years, letting me take a look at it, taking my feedback. Myself and many other smart Kiowa pilots, guys smarter than me, guys who had more time on the aircraft than me. These are all the resources that Polychop really leaned into, and they made it an effort to not only create a module, but to create one that's accurate, both historically, but also technically. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy the video. I really hope you enjoy the series of videos that I'm about to put out, my Combat Ready series, to get you guys ready to go with the Kiowa Warrior in, hopefully, fingers crossed, 2 weeks. We've had a lot of delays, but I can tell you right now, if I could just push the ship button, I would, and we could just fight through these last little things. It is a great module, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. Thanks a lot for watching. Take it easy.